There we go. All right, recording started and starting the stream. Welcome to Horsin Around, a Dumbass Cast. I'm your host, as always, Nick Mercadante, and with me today I have three lovely guests. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
Hello, friends. My name is Tyler Mascaratola, also 27TJM on Twitch.
Oh my God.
Subtle plug.
Yeah, real subtle.
I'll be a guest for today.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Hello, my name is Patrick Armario, and I'm an award-winning animator.
Technically correct.
So,
Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
You're
Pat.
welcome.
Appreciate it. And finally, we have...
You know who it is. It's your boy Beaks. I read a bunch of books about the Sherman tank in World War II recently. I could tell you about that. I don't know. That's what I got.
We're all bringing something to the table. Thank you guys so much. This is...
We're such a diverse cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Great.
hit
yeah,
all the
just
check
four
marks.
white guys.
Just four white guys. Just four white guys. We hit all the check marks.
Yeah. Look, to be fair, before when we were in person, it was basically just three white guys and then one white girl. So it hasn't changed much from with the transition to digital.
Still hasn't
Also,
even a
wait,
fucking
Pat's Filipino.
competition.
No, this is more diverse than it used to be. What the fuck are you on about?
What? I'm white. What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
What are you actually talking about?
Yeah, come on, Nick.
Anyways, how you guys doing? How's your week been?
It's
Been good. Yeah.
Been chill week so
my,
far.
my friend's birthday was a couple days ago. I went into the city for that. That was a good time.
Mm-hmm. Nice. What city?
Masks and all, of course.
Yeah.
The city of New York.
Oh, the Big Apple. Yeah, how is
Dark
that?
The Big
Zone.
Apple, if you will.
The Dark Zone.
What's going on?
How is that? Like, is it? I'm assuming it's calmed down somewhat, but I'm just also assuming it's still kind of a hotbed.
Calmer.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't necessarily gotten worse, which is good.
Yeah.
As far as I know. But I haven't been in New York mostly, so I don't actually, and I haven't really been keeping up with, the Roni virus or any
The Roni.
political necessarily crimes that are probably happening. I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
But I've been staying in touch with Colin, who's my roommate / stream mate, and he's been pretty deep in the political protests, and he said that apparently the DA has stopped prosecuting cops for brutality. Which
Oh, see, that seems like the opposite of what is supposed
is
to.
like the right.
You really
Yeah.
stop prosecuting cops for brutality if you didn't really do it to begin with? Like,
That's
that's
true,
my
yeah.
question.
Yeah. You gotta. It really
Nice.
makes you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it seems like, these protests have no sign of stopping, and they haven't had their demands met, so that makes sense. So, yeah, I guess we'll just see where it goes. It's just been, at a certain point, I use Tumblr a lot, so I look in the, top 10 tags when I'm just looking around, and... No, okay, there's clearly other people on there, because the Black Lives Matter tag is always number one. It's been number one for, months now, which I think is in either case, it's fine. I'm glad that it's getting, the vision that it needs. But I have to wonder if it is, legitimately just people continuously talking about it, or if Tumblr is making a political statement and, aggregating it to the top. Giving it a boost in some way.
I would be surprised considering how poorly run a website Tumblr is.
Yeah.
Corporate level,
Very true.
Yeah.
Very
It
true.
just ain't working out.
Yeah. But that's cool. Yeah. I spent all of this week in self-quarantine because I was potentially exposed.
Oh yes, because you were exposed.
Yeah, I was exposed to somebody who tested positive, but everybody who also was exposed, yeah, big F. Everybody who's exposed, as me included, have come back with negative tests. So we're starting to think that person actually got a false positive, perhaps, because even the person that was living with them got a negative test back. So that crisis averted, which I'm happy about. But yeah. So that's been fun. I was supposed to be at work this week, but couldn't really go in if I had the virus. So I was like, "Hi, boss. I am sorry to say, but I cannot show up for my first day of work." and they were super understanding. So I'm glad about that.
I hope they were. I mean, it's the Rona.
Right, yeah. You don't want to take any chances, and I definitely didn't want to show up and then turn out to be positive and then have to tell people out, you know.
Inadvertently have...
Yeah, inadvertently
hey,
spread it to way more people.
brought a little present to work!
Yeah, that would not be good and probably reflect way worse on me in their eyes if I did that, so... But yeah, so it's been a pretty chill week just practicing up on like C++ and learning about signal processing, which is actually pretty interesting.
What's signal processing?
It's like, so, you know, like, I guess the simplest way is to think of it in terms of like sound waves and stuff like that. So let's say you have like a single note playing at a single frequency, right? It makes like a certain pitch, and then that's just that noise constantly. And then if you started to add more one-note noises at different frequencies, they would start to make different noises and sort of combine together and stuff. And then after a certain point, you have like a really crazy-looking sound wave that has like peaks and valleys everywhere. And so the way signal processing works at a super high level is it is trying to pick out and remove extraneous like frequencies and like noise to pick out a certain frequency and like pin it down to, okay, this is what it's this sound, like underneath all of this in this giant waveform, you can pick out one frequency and be like, okay, this is what's being generated here. And that is useful in the context of electronic warfare stuff, because you need to be able to identify where like an enemy aircraft or ship or other like electronic device is emitting noise from. And so if you can see
emissions control is a big deal,
right? So if you can pick out of like a whole, because there's natural noise in the environment when you're scanning radar and stuff, if you're able to pick out the specific frequency that a enemy radar station or ship or whatever is emitting their frequency on, then you can be like, okay, this is what is their transmission. Then you can do whatever you'd like with that information and work on it.
You can launch a cruise missile.
Yeah, yes. One of many things you could do with that information.
Hey, Mr. Ship, ATM-88 harpoon anti-ship missile.
Yeah.
See, I'm
goodbye.
just imagining like what's it called? So you're like tracking a specific sound.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining like, what if you just strapped like a boombox or something to like a buoy or some shit, right? And just started producing a noise or some shit just to like bait out missiles and
I mean,
stuff.
I'm
sure it's not like...
Yeah, but you understand the concept then, because it is like obviously not a boombox, but you can make emitters of certain frequencies that can sort of. Oh, are you? Okay, I thought Tyler was saying something and I didn't hear any sound, but okay. He's doing the mock.
Playing my stream.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, basically you can make fake emitters that will drag. If there's certain missile lock-on systems that are tracking frequencies, and so if you emit something at the same frequency as what your ship is emitting and push it off somewhere else, it can theoretically divert the missile towards that fake target instead of you. So yeah, that is a practical application of it.
So if you tack like a little emitter onto like a fish or some shit, right? Like the missile will start going towards the fish, and the fish will be absolutely fucked.
Yes, yeah. I don't know why we would want to fuck over the fish that badly, but like, yeah, you could do that, I guess.
I mean, the fish is just a casualty of war, just like with precision missiles, right? How they kill 90% of like. 90% of their kills are civilians.
Air Force bombs hit the ground 100%. That's a perfect record.
Guys, Mother Earth is the greatest casualty of war, okay? That's the lesson we really need to take away from all of this.
That is also true. Have you not seen Pacific Rim? The only reason why like the aliens came is because of emissions.
Is that how that worked? I don't remember that being a plot point for Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm.
Was that actually in it, or was that in the second one that nobody saw?
The first one had a big eco story because what's it called? Charlie Day's character
Yes.
goes into like taps into like the mind of the kaiju or whatever, the
Right.
half brain.
Yeah.
And he realizes that like the aliens first tried to come back during like the dinosaurs or whatever, and that's why
Yeah.
all the dinosaurs died out.
Uh-huh.
But the world wasn't ready for them yet because like it wasn't terraformed yet. So the aliens waited, and essentially humanity, with punching a hole in the ozone, terraformed the world for the aliens themselves. Like we did it ourselves.
Oh, so us making the world shittier for us
Bullshit.
makes it good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting.
Exactly.
Huh.
So that's why aliens were coming, was because of shell gas.
Yeah, and then they decided to make
ExxonMobil.
super giant.
Exxon Mobil.
ExxonMobil. Thanks to ExxonMobil, aliens
British
are coming to Earth.
Petroleum. Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah, and then they decided to make super giant kaiju just because it looked cool and to
Yeah.
destroy the planet. Which I mean,
Well,
like, you know, respect. Those things look
That's
dope
not-
as hell.
like, they probably came first with like laser guns and shit, saw the dinosaurs and were like,
Yo, yeah, they got inspiration for their kaiju from dinosaurs. That is a
They were
good
like-
take.
they were like, oh, fuck guns, dude.
Dude, fuck this basic ass gun shit, dude. We gotta start doing some biotech sort of shit.
Dude, why not make some clones of some dinosaurs? Make some dino clones,
Mm-hmm.
splice them together, steroids.
There's no media that's shown how that can go wrong.
Yeah,
None.
I mean,
Not at all.
Yeah, no,
Never
no,
heard
There's
of
no
it.
single piece of media that's
No,
incorrect.
I would
Yeah.
never like. I mean, it's a genius idea.
Look, we had the 3 Jurassic Park movies, and then Jurassic World was like, but you know, it still worked out. The park opened up, so I guess nothing really was learned.
It-
So it's
it
fine.
made money.
It did make money, and honestly, that was probably the best part of Jurassic World, was seeing the park functioning. Like, we've always imagined what a working dinosaur park would be like, and then they actually did it. And obviously, it got fucked over because that's the whole point of literally every movie every time. But you know, seeing it open was pretty fucking dope. I would love to be able to just ride a baby Triceratops without worrying about the ethical or humanitarian implications of it. Okay. I just want to ride a Triceratops. Is it that much
Look.
to ask?
Boy, do I have a game for you!
Look, if someone could be God and make dinosaurs,
Mm-hmm.
then they could make so much money off of it, and that's all I've learned. That's all I've like.
What if they
Are you
were
saying if God was a
robots?
capitalist, he would just make bank? Because I guess you're right, but like,
Now
God
how
was-
much do you pay?
I know we weren't going to talk about God, but if God was real, he'd make money.
If
Things
God
are-
was real, he'd be the most capitalist.
yeah. No, God would be. Ironically, God would be a nihilist because God doesn't give a shit. God literally has no use for any kind of
God would
wealth
set
or
foot in the
anything.
United States and not be the Jeff Bezos of America. Like, that man would be more wealthy than him.
Yeah, but like after a certain point, you become also. With this hypothetical,
Also,
he's
he's
still
God.
God.
Also,
Yeah, he would just fucking do shit for whatever.
You can just make shit appear.
Yeah, he inherently destroys his capitalist system because he can just create product he can endlessly
Well-
inflate. Right? He has
well,
endless
I mean,
inflation in his
If we're
pocket.
talking in the realm of the God cinematic universe, what are his established powers?
No, all we can do is make a bush catch on fire.
I-
Wait a minute.
Let there be light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the implication is that he has the power to create and destroy matter, which is
Is that
inherently
canon, though?
I
We need
I
to
am
see
not-
the series Bible on that one.
yeah, you're gonna need the
Oh, we have some
receipts.
sort of document, like sort of canon document that we
Yeah,
can
we
like.
had to rewrite the damn Bible.
And even
God,
then,
we gotta
people.
retcon all this shit, man. All right, no one's gonna buy this. All right.
Where is my Bible? Yeah, back to the classic joke. Look, if the Bible was so good, why is there no Bible 2? Okay,
God
come
damn
on.
it.
That is true.
Where is the second Bible? I ask you
Then we
this.
weren't gonna get controversial in this podcast.
We literally, before you
Pat.
got here, they were talking about how Pat is gonna have the most lukewarm takes like ever,
Oh, yeah.
just trying to stay as
I've heard
non-committal.
Pat's takes. I wouldn't describe them as lukewarm necessarily a lot of the
Oh.
time.
No, but he was trying to like do a bit and then just immediately fucking. Oh my god.
Like I like to tell Aaron whenever I'm in call with them,
Mhm.
I am a man and I have opinions.
Yeah. That is most men.
That's most men
that is
on
it.
the website twitter.com.
That is literally everything about me. I am a man and I have opinions.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
That's it.
I'm opinions.
Oh, and
Incredible.
I'm an award-winning animator.
Oh,
Wow.
God damn it.
Wow. Powerful.
This is the bit.
Truly.
Technically, multi-award winning.
Technically, you have more status than we ever will. At this
Uh-huh.
Well,
point
you
in
won
time.
multiple Razzie
Well,
Awards?
well-
That's pretty impressive.
Nick gets paid for what he does.
Boom!
Got him. I tried cooking for the first time last night. Like real cooking
never
by
cooked in your
myself,
life?
Never
not
cooked
just
before.
like not just
Nicholas
like
Mercadante, you are over the age of 20. You've never cooked before.
like I mean more than just like, you know, mixing some baking shit together and throwing it in the oven to rise. Like
This man walked into a kitchen and said, "Oh, now what?"
Wait, how'd it go, Nick? How'd it go?
I think it turned out pretty well. I had obviously an instruction book on hand and it was like a crock pot meal, but like I don't know. I think as far as preparing the ingredients and mixing it all together, I think it turned out pretty well.
What did you make?
I did braised pork chops on like a salad base. And it was pretty good. I definitely should have known because I mean, like my mom has tried to get me to cook in the past, but I haven't done it much on my own. I definitely should have known that I needed to read all of the instructions out loud before I started doing anything, because there were parts that I thought I had read completely, but then I double checked. I was just like, oh no, I missed that part. Specifically where I was supposed to save a good portion of the salad dressing to actually pour over into the crock pot for the pork chops themselves. But then I just made some more of it and it turned out fine. So
Okay.
yeah,
I don't even want to imagine what you handling a knife would have been like too. Like,
I used and that was another thing. I definitely used way more utensils than I needed to, because I would just I'd be like, oh, I'm done with this one, and I'd throw it in the sink, and then I was like, wait, no, I need
Fuck, I need
a
another
knife.
knife.
Yeah. Thankfully I have a good amount of knives on hand. But
Nick, what's it called? What's it called?
What is
How many knives did you use?
I don't know, like probably 4, and I probably could have used 2. Like
Okay.
it wasn't like insane, but it wasn't optimal, you know.
No, I get that. I mean,
yeah.
that's something that a lot of people like when they're first starting to cook, do like sort. I don't want to say mess up.
Yeah.
It's not really like a mistake or anything. It's just like it's just wasteful, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I,
lazy and I hate cleaning extra things, so I'm just like, fuck it, wipe this knife off, we're good.
There you go.
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, you run it
Yeah.
under water, hit it with some soap, clean it off real quick.
Yeah. As
Oh,
long
no,
as it's
like-
not like, you know, raw meat that you're chopping up, you could realistically use like
Yeah,
a
will do-
vegetable
yeah,
knife
I don't
on
fuck
different
around with
vegetables.
uncooked meat.
Yeah.
Pro strat with that though. Do the raw meat last. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, true.
That,
And I definitely should have done that. I tried to. I thought I did most of what I needed before the raw meat, but then I did the raw meat, and I was just like, oh, wait, there's more things to chop.
Do your mise en place first, like your vegetables first, or like everything else, and then do your raw meat last. Sometimes if I'm feeling like if I'm cooking for someone else, for example, I'll even wash the knife between vegetables, like not like between each individual vegetable, but like I'll do the vegetables first, then I'll wash the knife.
Yeah.
Then move on to like the meat, and then
Right.
definitely like wash after each meat.
Yeah. But yeah, and then
Usually,
sorry, you go on.
I was gonna say usually you can even like handle everything like with one knife.
Yeah. If you're good about it, you can just do a quick wash on the vegetables and then do the meats last. Yeah, it makes sense. So you know, lessons learned. I also I needed a minced. I think they're called shallot or pronounced shallots.
Oh, yeah,
the
shallots,
little
yeah.
things. And I got it, and then I peeled it, and I was just like, this looks like a lot like an onion. I wonder if it's gonna make me cry when I cut it. And lo and behold, it did. Side note, my knives are very dull because they say don't wash in the dishwasher, and then I don't wash them in the dishwasher anyway because I'm lazy. But yeah.
Yeah. When what's it called? I don't cook as often as I used to because I'm back at my like aunt's house.
Yep.
So she does a lot of the cooking, which I'm very grateful for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But when I did cook on my own, I remember I'd sharpen my knife like at least once a month.
Mhm.
Like I'd go through like I'd literally spend like a Sunday just like going through like all of my knives and just sharpening each knife on my whetstone and then like
Good
putting
lord.
out
On a whetstone. Wow. A real man of
If you're
culture.
serious about cooking, keeping your knives like really nicely taken care of and sharp is like the most important thing aside from like seasoning your food.
And hygiene, generally.
Nah, fuck it, bro. You just gotta pull out your beater Leatherman. Start.
Just
using
going
that.
at it. Oh,
Dull
God.
knife and salt. That's all man needs.
I mean, Jesus.
You grit your teeth through the tears from the fumes of the shallot and the onions. You just take it and run with it, all right? You deal with it like a man.
Jesus. What's it called? I mean, well, the thing with a dull knife is that like you're more prone to making mistakes with it because
Yeah.
it won't go through like
You get frustrated because it doesn't go through.
Stuff,
as
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you could like injure yourself with a dull knife very
Right.
easily.
Yeah.
Very, very badly.
So it's always good to keep your knives sharp and like everything prepared beforehand.
Yeah.
Honestly, once a month is actually kind of like it's kind of excessive. It was too much. Like, you don't need to sharpen your knife once a month. Maybe
Yeah.
like once a fiscal quarter.
I mean,
Back to the
Yeah,
fiscal
you know,
quarterly
well
system.
Band of time that everyone uses fiscal quarters in their normal lives.
It's not that complicated. It's just 3 months.
You know, actually, I
Just
prefer.
a quarter then.
My personal preference is to turn tax day into knife sharpening day. Just to talk out 2 birds with 1 stone, alright?
I change my red dot optics batteries every fiscal quarter.
No, it's just like it's once a fiscal quarter, once a season. If you want to be like, if you want to be all TV about it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's funny, like, ironic that, fucking knives, when they're dull, they're too dull to properly cut through your food, but still very sharp enough to cut through your finger.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Human
Yeah.
skin?
Well, your fingers have the consistency of carrots, so you could actually bite your fingers off.
Do they really?
Yes, I heard that before. I should. All right, I'm actually gonna fact check that right now because
We got some vor going on right here in the.
We got it all.
No, it's not vor unless you absorb them whole. You gotta take them in one gulp. That's the whole thing.
Are you vor keeping us?
No,
Yeah, honestly, Mick.
I'm not just gonna ask. I'm just not gonna ask how you know this. I should have known. I should have known.
biting
messed
through a
up, dude.
finger requires so much force that attempts often lead to partial amputation. A bite that doesn't completely sever the finger. There are cases of fingers being bitten entirely off, but such an act requires extraordinary force, far greater than 200 newtons of carrot cutting power. So that debunked. Looks like,
How
unfortunately.
many newtons of carrot cutting power do things take? That's what I want to know now.
I'll just say I never bothered to fact check it.
Yeah, no, I never. This is literally because I've want to.
Yeah, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna immediately go, yeah, let me fact check and just bite off my fucking finger.
Well, that was the caveat, right? It was that you could through fear, like the force of your bite force of your mouth, could bite off your finger, but your brain obviously tells you, "Hey, don't do this," and stops you before you go through with it.
You're obviously not able to bite off your own finger, but it's pretty easy to bite off somebody else's finger.
Yeah, but you are gonna do that either because society says
Well,
don't do
I mean,
that.
like, depending on the situation.
Yeah, no, it depends on the situation for sure.
You know, like, what if I'm in a finger biting championship?
Okay.
What
well,
if you're getting fingered while you're biting?
Okay. So apparently a human adult's maximum biting force ranges from 520 to 1,178 newtons, depending on factors such as age and gender.
Yeah, related. This is also why you don't pull hand grenade pins with your teeth. Is you're gonna have a bad time.
Ah, yeah. It requires less than 200 newtons to bite through a raw carrot. This is well within the normal limits of the average person. Biting through a finger requires so much force that attempts lead to partial amputation. So yeah. So I guess it is more than 200 newtons worth of force that is required to bite through a finger
What has
completely.
the strongest per newton, like, of force bite in, like, the world?
Probably an alligator or a crocodile,
Is it an
I would
alligator?
assume. Let me see.
Tigers are up there. I think hippos are up there.
Oh, hippos,
Oh, yeah.
hippos have insane bite strength.
Yeah.
Great white shark has the greatest
Oh,
bite force with the 4,000 psi on their bites.
Damn.
Oh, great for
The
nothing.
chompers.
Yeah, second place is the saltwater crocodile at 3,700, followed by the American alligator, and then the jaguar in fourth place and then hippopotamus is actually 5th place. Interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would have thought hippo would have beaten jaguar, but that's pretty fucking wild.
They got chompers.
They got big old chonkers. But yeah, that was my first foray into cooking. And the other nice part is that because it was 4 loin chops worth of cooking, I have meals for following days. I just have to throw it in the oven for a couple minutes
there
and
you go.
reheat it.
The leftovers.
Yeah, the leftovers.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I was going through.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I just, my mom left it here because she wanted me to use it, and now everything here is mine now, so I don't feel any fear of breaking like my parents' tools or like somebody else's equipment. It is all just my own shit, and if I break it, then that's just on me, right? And I'm not hindering anybody else by breaking those tools, so might as well get the money's worth out of it and use it.
Well, and now you can look at it this way: you can go out of your way to fuck with the tools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, man, I just want to spend
can actively fuck with them.
spend like half an hour cooking some shit, and then I'll just do that and turn on a podcast or something.
And that's what I did with my keyboard. Actively fucked with it.
You should start doing cooking episodes.
Dude, I've been thinking about that. Honestly, that is a good segue, though. I wanted to ask you how you got started, because you've been streaming book readings for a little while now. How did that get started? Because I think that's very entertaining. I've enjoyed them a lot.
So, for me, it was mostly a product of like quarantine boredom. And my roommate and I, because we live in New York and are broke-ass college students, we live essentially in a living room.
Yeah. That sweet studio apartment life.
Yes. Because we share such a like tightly enclosed space, we're so directly involved with each other's like hobbies and shit.
Yeah.
That I would always talk about like, oh, like I just want something to stream. Like I can't think of anything to do, like total brain fart situation.
Yeah.
And Colin kept talking about how he had this book. The first one we read was Castle of Blood.
Okay.
He was like, oh, I've always been meaning to read this. And then just like we got partially drunk one night. We were like, why don't we just read this for the stream? And we did. And I just told a bunch of my friends, I was like, hey, we're just going to read a book. Like, we're going to, turn it into like a thing.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, sure, all right. And once we finished the first book, was kind of right around when I realized like, this is actually really fun.
Yeah.
Because it's just a book club at this point. Like it's what it is. It's just like a bunch of people get on 10:30s on Saturday and we read 2 to 3 chapters of a book and we talk about it. And then I make some ridiculously weird tangent. And that's pretty much every Saturday at this point.
Yeah.
And it just kind of took off, I think, because for me, I like the idea of having a consistent schedule of something to do, where every Friday around 5 or 6 I play a D&D game, and then now it's like every Saturday 10:30 I read the book.
Book reading time, yeah.
It's more things that like I'm establishing in my own routine that are streamable or that are able to be turned into content if that's the direction I want to take it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think that's the reason it kind of worked out, was it just was something that I was doing that I was just like, okay, well, why not stream it?
Right. Yeah. If you're having fun with it, it's the whole thing of like, if you're having fun with it, then maybe other people will have fun with it too, and then just going from there.
Yeah. Which is what I think I might start doing with. I have to clear it with my my crew, but I'm probably going to see if I can start streaming our Friday D&D game. I want to do like a party game stream day where like we all can like get together and like play a party game for an hour or two, and just like not only for us to like have fun, but also like it's content because people love party games.
Oh hell yeah! Get that shit streaming.
Yeah, I think it's just ultimately looking at what you do in your day and then think, can I put this on a platform where people will watch it?
Yeah, there's a desire for it.
That's the easiest way to like stay consistent with something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there doesn't even have to be a desire for it. Like a lot of times, it's just the raw effort of putting something out there so much that eventually someone will find it and like it, and then it'll get spread. It's just like. It's weird because I do agree with you before when we were having the conversation of like there is a clear like economic supply and demand of
Right.
streaming and content of what people will watch. But then also you look at something like the YouTube algorithm where you come across shit like you clearly weren't looking for, but you watch it anyway because it's available.
Yeah. There
It's
was.
there,
Yeah. I definitely, there's a lot of quirks with the YouTube algorithm that can be talked about for
The algorithm.
Yeah.
I love it.
I just love, like, I think for the most part it does its
My favorite
job.
thing of YouTube algorithm though is when you're chilling. Oh. It's so good when you're just chilling and you're like, I guess now I'm gonna watch how toilets get installed.
Yeah, but then you get recommended toilet videos for the next week.
Toilet, I guess.
Like I knew
Yeah, but
my
you know what? Those are the risks I'm willing to take.
Yeah, I need to be better about choosing which videos from friends I choose to watch, because somebody sent in another Discord a video about a dude whose entire channel is about reviewing sex toys, but the video specifically was about him going to Thailand and fucking transsexual women. And I was just like, I don't know why I clicked on it. It was just like, why did he link this in the first place? Is this a meme? And then as soon as I clicked on it and then I got into like the first minute, the only thing I could think at the back of my head is just like, this dude's videos and like this content is just gonna be in my feed for the next week or so, and I'm gonna hate it. But I went down the rabbit hole nonetheless, and I don't know, it was interesting, I guess.
You could go through YouTube, and when you like mouse over a video, there are like 3 dots next to the title. You can tell that you're not interested in something.
That's true. Yeah, I should probably
I
do that more often.
Because sometimes I'll go through moments where like, I'm just watching something with a friend or something, or I'm watching something on my own maybe, and I'll watch like some anime shit, right? Like I'll throw on some like anime like YouTube video or whatever to like see like, oh, how are they animating this, or like, hey, I'm just interested in this show or whatever. But then like it'll list off like a ton of different anime the next time I like log onto YouTube. I'm just sitting there going like, I don't want to watch anime. Please get this
I
out
am
of my
not in
face.
the anime mood, sir.
I'm not a weeb.
It would be funny though if you did like watch anime at specific times during the week and the algorithm figured out when you wanted to see anime and when you didn't, and it would only recommend you anime during those periods where you
Honestly,
consistently
I would be so
watch
okay.
anime.
That's the next level shit. That's real
I would-
scary.
Yeah.
I'd see. That's something that I'm like, kind of, that I have a very strong opinion about. Actually, it's not that strong, but I have a sort of contrarian opinion to a lot of people about this. I'm totally okay with my data being out there. Fucking like, if YouTube's just gonna recommend like different like videos that I think that I want, then I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, I'm cool with my data being out there. Like, if I'm gonna get ads that are specifically about like things that I like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I think like the theory of using some people's like viewing data in order to recommend them things that they were more likely to enjoy, I think nobody has issues with the theory about that. But I think a reason that, you know how I think Twitter and Facebook have been doing a similar thing for a while, where instead of showing posts in chronological order, you're gonna see posts that they think that you'll like.
Posts, yeah,
like things that are posted by your friends, but they think is more important based on what you've liked and interacted with more consistently.
Posts from like 5 days ago. It's like, bro, show me.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, but because people sometimes are just like, I just want to see what was posted most recently, so I can get like a sort of time-based idea of what's been happening in people's lives. Considering those services are specifically about Facebook more than Twitter, but like chronicling, you know, people's dailies goings-ons. Yeah, that was definitely not the way to say that, but here we are. But you know what I mean. Like so stuff like that is like not an ideal implementation of it. And then to build on that, the other, I think my problems with that kind of stuff is just, when you sign those user agreements, you're like, yeah, this is fine, but then when you're not reading the fine print, you're like, they can send it to third parties, and then the third parties is where things get sketchy, and it's just like, you don't know what they're doing with it. It probably won't be anything harmful if you don't put anything harmful out there, but then it's just, you have to be a lot more attentive, I guess, and watch I think at the bottom line is just like, at all times, I would prefer any of these sites to have an opt-out feature for that kind of thing, so that people can be like, if you're like, yeah, I'm fine with you using my data to recommend me new stuff and do whatever with it, then you can just stay opted in and that's fine. But if somebody's just like, I am very uptight about my privacy, so no, and then they can opt out. But that's just not a mandated thing, so it's whatever. And, at the end of the day, I think the general public TM, I think, more aligns with your opinion, because there hasn't been enough of a ruckus raised to actually implement any kind of policy against that kind of thing. So, I don't know.
It is interesting, because, I see it, and this is my original, or my OG answer, that I usually go to, is a lot less nuanced than this, obviously.
Yeah.
But, my OG answer is obviously, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But...
the classic.
More nuanced answer is a lot more of, obviously, I would like my bank account, for example, to not be out there.
Yeah. Your SSN, your date of birth, hometown, all that stuff.
But the thing is, it's that's a matter of, your digital footprint. And being, early 20-something person, right?
Mm-hmm.
My digital footprint has been on the internet for, my entire life, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Everything that I've done on the internet before I was more conscious about my browsing habits is out there already. So I'm already out there, and it's possible to minimize your digital footprint.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, I don't think it's really impossible. It's in this age, I don't know if it's really impossible to or possible to keep your footprint at as net zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an interesting video series. I'm trying to remember what outlet did it. I think it was Gizmondo.
Gizmodo?
Where there's tech reporter. She essentially did this experiment where she's like, okay, I got these big tech companies, and I want to see if I can She did them each in order, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and I'm trying to remember the Google. It's okay, can I eliminate using? And so she had someone write, some custom scripts and stuff to block those, call functioning calls and routing and stuff. And then she essentially discovered that with a lot of those companies, if you if you say I don't want to fucking talk to any Amazon related server or anything, bro, you can't use a good portion of the internet because of the amount of places that are hosted in AWS and shit like that.
Damn.
So at a certain point, and then she did this thing where she cut all of them up, and it's just if you try not to use Microsoft or Apple products, you have cut out a giant majority of the consumer PCs out there, because most consumer PCs that you buy off the shelf run Windows or Mac OS.
Yep.
So it's there are some. I think there is. They mentioned there's some company who was building a laptop pre-installed with Linux and stuff on it that you could use.
Yeah.
But it's
no,
that has
yeah, Linux and GNU systems are just so far out of the general public's eye or ear that it's never gonna catch on all of the programming nuts really want.
What do you mean it's coming? The year of the Linux desktop is coming, Mark.
It's not coming.
User friendly.
No,
right after the year of the Linux sniper rifle.
Yeah, and
that happens.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Consensus here is that again, it's not pretty. It's not user friendly.
It's not easy.
It's not going to be out of the box usability that most people are looking for. The average 40 something is going to be I want to unbox
anyone something I have this conversation with a lot of people who are big Linux heads and love that stuff, and I don't have anything against Linux. Obviously, I don't give a shit about what operating system you use really, but they come in as well, if people just switch, it's listen, you have a mindset because you are a person who is into computing, you love to tinker.
Yeah.
But for the person who says, I use a computer to get on the internet and word process very occasionally.
Yeah.
Linux, the whole setup and configuring that, all the issues fucking people have with sound drivers on Linux, and all the things that just sort of, generally work or you can troubleshoot pretty easily. There are a lot of stuff, or if you want to play any game, gaming on Linux can be a fucking weird proposition sometimes in terms of fucking with graphics card drivers and
oh god,
all this shit.
Yeah.
And so that is great for someone who loves to customize each aspect of it and get under the hood and like run all the. But for the person who's like, bro, I just want to load up a browser and type in YouTube.com and go there and watch videos, and I don't want it to be this thing, and I just want my files to be saved in the cloud, and like all, you know, like people who view computers as simply a means to a different end rather than like, oh, this cool thing that I'm interested in specifically and messing around with.
Joe Rogan on your podcast
that is,
when?
I think, the difference
Joe Rogan
for
on your
a lot of people,
podcast
and that's
when?
why obviously
Joe Rogan on your
Microsoft still
podcast when? Joe
dominates,
Rogan on your
and
podcast
Macs
when?
still
Joe Rogan on
still
your
popular.
podcast when?
God, I wish I could. Sorry. Yeah, you make a good point. Sorry, Ken has just resubbed, and then he put in a message just saying Joe Rogan on your podcast when 50 times. So
we're gonna get him here, man.
Yeah,
About
someday.
No.
We're working on it.
God bless. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And to use the famous words of one Todd Howard, when it comes to Windows and Apple computing, it just works. You know,
It just works.
You just comes out of the box. You can just say, "Oh, here's my desktop. Oh, there's the Safari browser. Type in YouTube.com, look up cat video. There it is."
Obviously, there's
funny.
shit that breaks with those things, like your fucking weird issue with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where we had to go into the Windows power settings to get the game to
use my graphics
your
processor
GPU instead of being completely CPU bound.
It was so
The
dumb.
amount of times I've actually had to do that with a lot of games is really interesting.
Really?
I think just because of because I'm running a laptop. Because I have to actually go in and physically tell my computer to not use the integrated graphics is mind blowing.
I had an Alienware laptop years ago that had, you could switch between the integrated and the full GPU, and that led to problems of like getting the computer in the right mode. And
Yeah. There's just there's definitely your hassles, but they generally, Microsoft and Apple build them to at least
the runway to like buying this new computer and setting it up and getting to where you need to go is much shorter than I think in general with Linux.
We as gamers with the hard R just are in cases where we're really trying to maximize our computer's utility and then end up in some edge cases that can fuck things up.
Don't label me. I don't.
I see. Look, Beekman, you try to step away from it, but you not only have you been playing Call of Duty forever, you've also been playing fucking sitting in with us watching visual novels. Like you're deep in it.
Whoa, blowing up my spot here.
Look, man.
I'm fucking tearing off.
I'm tearing you up, bro. I'm calling you out.
Typical gamer who with a hard R would probably think visual novels are bullshit because they're like, oh, there's no gameplay, it's all story. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I can't kill anything.
I guess that's true. You know, Tyler, I think you would, and Pat, I guess all of you guys, I think a game that's definitely worth looking into is, but there's this game called Monster Prom, which is like a mini visual novel, but it's multiplayer, and you're all trying to get a date to Monster Prom. And then you can take actions during the day to like get certain points in certain, like, you have like sort of super basic RPG stats for like different like commodity social stats or whatever, and you can up them by going to different places, and then you interact with the other characters and up your relationship with them. It's really cute and really fun, and and it's also a really great thing to just have people sit in on because it's multiplayer, and then you can voice act all of the like romance interest characters, and that makes for great content. I need to do it again sometime.
I think one of our friends was super into Monster Prom. I'm pretty sure they were like really, because I remember them talking about it at one point. So I've heard of it before.
Yeah, super good game and like super interesting concept because like it takes. I think they advertise themselves as like the first multiplayer dating sim, which is I don't know of any others, so I guess they really do have that, and they're. I think they're on the verge of putting out a sequel in the near future, or actually like a multitude of like side shoot projects that look really interesting. But it's a very good time, and I think that if you're already in the vein of just reading things aloud and you want to get some people in on it, Monster Prom is definitely like a good avenue to go down.
Take a look at it.
Pat looking cute playing Hunt, so I can't really watch the podcast, but I'm your view bot at least. Thank you, Kenneth. You and one other. There's one other watching right now, so thank you for the viewership. But yeah, we got super off track from YouTube algorithms, but I did want to attach something to that because I just listed it before the podcast starts. But another thing that I've been getting recommended a lot now is the mashup songs that Pat, you linked that playlist to me that you made that you called it Postmodern Dadaism, and I've been definitely super into it more recently. Like, I've always been into mashup music if it's done well, but like just specifically recently after listening to that playlist, it's a good time, and I definitely think it's a conversation worth having about how mashup culture has been able to explode in the digital age.
Is the mashup of Slipknot's Psychosocial and Justin Bieber's Baby on there? Because that is a top tier.
That sounds.
Not, it will be. Please.
Yeah, that sounds like the crackhead energy that you're looking for, Pat. Because that's how you described your.
Oh my god, this is incredible! Hang on.
Yeah, that's definitely like one of my I should say like passions and like muses is mashup culture. And now that I know it's an actual culture, thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
It's like I labeled my mashup playlist as postmodern Dadaism because what's it called? I felt that as an art form, mashup culture itself is like very much pushing. Thank you, awesome.
Yeah.
I felt that like mashup culture itself is like very much like pushing essentially postmodernist ideas about like sort of how do I put it?
Like related to copyright stuff and like taking stuff that is owned by one person and then making it your own, or
sort of. So like a lot of postmodernism is defined by like a lot of like skepticism and like irony based stuff, and just taking like current aesthetics of like modernist ideas and just sort of twisting them as like essentially a meme. Like a lot of postmodernism is just memeing, which it, like I can go on for fucking hours about that. But like I like the Dadaist ideas of like just avant-garde pushing stuff, right? And nonsense and irrationality and just stupid shit. So putting them both together into like the idea of mashups, it's like perfect. It's like if you look at mashups, it's literally just taking what society has already given us and just shitting all over it and just being like, look, it's still great, isn't it? It's still good.
And it is. So yeah, I'm trying to make sure I'm remembering what Dadaism is in the art world. Was one of the fundamental like art pieces that defined Dadaism was the guy who was ripping up news articles and then putting the words in random orders? Was that Dadaism, or am I thinking of something else?
I think so. I'm trying to. I know it's so. It has its root in like 20th century French art. During like what's it called?
It was after the First World War, right? And people were like, "Wow, this shit is like so fucking absurd. Like we have murdered so many human beings for nothing. No land was gained or lost. Like nothing really changed." Germany was left in the shitter, but that was pretty much it. And then we saw how that went out. So
it's so a lot of it like comes off of World War I's like the whole crisis of like how essentially capitalism bred the war more or less and like fueled it more with like fire and industrialism.
Yeah.
And Dadaism was an answer. Its answer was like. Its question was posed mostly around like the nonsense and like brutality of it and the irrationality around like World War One and just how crazy like and insane all of it was. And a lot of the artists made pieces that were based around like based around that nonsense and irrationality, and a lot of them took very like anti-capitalistic ideas too and put it into the arts. Sort of like modern day memes that are all about like fucking that are memeing all over like America, for example. Like I would consider
it's in vogue to meme on America right now, understandably.
Yeah. So back then they would be memeing on like
Britain.
I guess. Yeah.
Right, yeah, because at that point they still had the fucking the Raj system in India, right? The they hadn't left India yet because that was
I
before
believe so,
Gandhi came
yeah.
around. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, British Empire was still kicking
yeah.
pretty hard
yeah.
around then.
Yeah, so it was like, my art history is absolute garbage, so I'm honestly taking a lot of this from like Wikipedia.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But,
My art history, let's be
That's
honest.
where we get most of our shit from on this show, so that's fine.
yeah, no, but I remember a lot of like the pieces were very like, they really stuck with me with just how just they pushed a lot of ideas that were against the modern of the time sensibilities. And that's what I love about like mashup culture. And I mean, I can go on about it as memes too,
Right.
where memes and mashup culture are essentially like,
They're linked to
the
each other
most-
at a certain point.
Yeah. they're linked to each other at a certain point, but they are like the forefront of art. No fucking jokes. Like, memes are the forefront of like human culture and art. Like, they're entirely their own art form, and it's like beautiful if you actually dissect it from an academic standpoint. Because it's like they're challenging so much of like our modern sensibilities and like modern ideas of what is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I like mashup culture because it helps. It can be used to like draw people in because you know what music is and you know how like good things sound. But then when you hear it being mashed up and like going against the original artistic intent, you start opening up like, it starts opening up your horizons to like different ideas musically. Like, maybe you're not super into like, you know, freeform jazz, right?
Yeah.
But if you were into like, let's say, Panic at the Disco and fucking, I don't know, some other fucking artists, right?
Yeah.
And you mash them up together, you could start incorporating aspects from both of those songs and like adding in some freeform jazz on top of that, and maybe it all links up together for your ears to like take
Right.
it more pleasingly, you know?
I mean, I think that's why postmodern jukebox took off so well.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think looking at stuff like that, because when you're looking at the idea of like the Dada in art, you're looking at it from a sense of how do I make anti-art. And I totally agree, because the collaborative idea of mashing up things and destroying the original intention is exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like you said, Nick, like look at the idea of like one of the main artistic things that you could see coming from Dadaism was cutting up newspapers and creating your own poem from creating art from something else. But also, it's not art because you are actively destroying. It's so complex because I mean it makes sense because it births into surrealism. But it's so interesting to see Dadaism in the modern sense, especially now, because I think we're relying on Dadaism to get through a lot of our heavy shit.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I'm sure a lot of it is also, you know, tailored now because we've been affected. We live in a post-surrealist and post-Dadaist age because it's already come before us.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how we are now interpreting what we see as Dadaism. Because of course, when it first came up, it was brand new. It was being forged as a concept, and now we're taking it as a concept, and we're putting our own interpretations on it. Which,
Yeah. And
looking at memes and looking at mashup culture and looking at all that stuff, like it's really complex.
Yeah, it's evolved.
And one thing that I absolutely love with that, with all of that, is that what's it called? Because of like the connectivity of the internet, you could really see how beautiful the idea of the internet is based on memes because of how quickly we evolve memes.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I've had talks about this with a bunch of my like friends from SCAD, in a very serious context of
Yeah.
like, how many levels of this meme can we go? Like, how many more levels of this are there to evolve before like the meme is done? And usually,
I mean,
it's
look at
within, like,
Loss.
Oh
Yeah.
God, Lost.
You can literally find it anywhere.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that I remember there was that subreddit that had like the image of like just a beautiful, you know, like a side of a building and then like a beautiful sea line right next to it, and it constructed Lost like on a very basic level, and it was just like, wow, this is what the fuck, how? Like it was insane.
Yeah.
And now there are like lines of meme that have just essentially created their own characters who get recombined into new memes. Like I saw a meme that had the Paul Senior from American Chopper yelling the Desperate Housewives lady, the cat, and it's just like
yes, that's another form of mashing up. Yeah.
yeah.
A complete mashup of it. Yeah. So it's like what's it called? And they happen so quickly. Like you get from like point A to point like Z by like fifth power like so quickly.
A perfect example of this is the Chad Doge memes.
Yes,
like
Doge, the revival of Doge.
And like, I'm sorry, Chad Doge for me is the meme format of 2020. I think really is at a high bar.
Meme of the year.
What can bring it up, but really it's been quite excellent.
I don't know what my meme of 2020 would be.
I don't know what my meme of 2020 is.
Yeah, well, I don't.
I mean, most of 2020 has just been consumed by coronavirus, so like a lot of memes have just been based around.
Yeah, time is. Yeah, I don't know. When did 2020 start? Like 18 years ago? I don't fucking.
Yeah, it's a fucking mystery. Before we get to, oh, sorry, what?
2020. No, you go on.
Okay.
I have a topic I definitely want to talk about, but
yeah,
I want you're in charge here.
Yeah, I just wanted, before we get away from the whole mashup culture stuff, I just think it was really interesting because we're talking about how like it's an evolution of Dadaism in the modern era or whatever. I think it's super interesting to learn about how just the technology has allowed mashup culture to become so much more accessible over the years. And like how, we started off with like disc jockeying, according to Wikipedia, obviously just not the end all be all sources, but it's what I can grab quickly. So apparently disc jockeying was like started up as a thing in like the 1940s, or like the first person to do it was in the 40s. And then as time went on, people got more creative with it and they started putting in two disc, like disc turntables on the board, and then they started to learn how to do beat matching, so you could have two songs that were at the same BPM, have them playing, and you could swap from one to the other at this, very quickly. And so that really was like the genesis of being able to do this kind of mashup stuff. But because you really only could work with whatever analog discs were on hand, a lot of times that was just what was available to the public.
And not everything was recorded.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so, but now we've moved into the modern era where you have everything's digitally available, LimeWire back in the day.
There are so many free apps for music, like making and music mashing and shit that you can use.
Tools, to use. And if you think about, like, disc jockeys, why that originated there, because if you think about other mediums, like, if you wanted to, say, do film mashups and just, like, you would have to know how to project film, which is a very technical thing. You have to know how to specifically like cut physical strips of film and like reconnect it. So it was like this very technical process that it was seriously a trade that you would have to know in order if you wanted to do that. Whereas now, if you want to fucking just download some
MP4s, just go for it.
Float up your free or stolen Adobe program of choice, or whatever editing software you want, and you just go. There's so many less obstacles in your way to do it.
And specifically with music, like with modern era, it's much easier to access the musical stems of any given track. So like you could easily find like a cappella versions of any song, or just the instrumentals, or even like
guitar tabs, stuff like that.
Guitar tabs, And so you can just take those specific pieces and then layer them on top of each other in the exact way that you wanted to, whereas originally you just had everything from one track and then everything from another track, and that's just, you had to deal with it. So I think it's really amazing that stuff is so readily available and that people are putting it to good use, with all the crazy stuff they've been putting out.
The progression of like art and culture is like, in my opinion, based around the accessibility of it. So like the more accessible you make art and like is the more like progress you'll find. And that's I feel like that's kind of obvious, but it's also like when you really think about it, it's again why I would consider like memes and such be like the
fastest evolving thing, because I think many people.
Does anyone create a meme? There's no one's gonna say, "Well, you're not trained in meme making."
No,
you're not a professional memist.
I've got a college degree in memeology.
What college did you go to? Did you go to the Harvard School of Memes? I did.
Honestly though, okay, so straight up, if I were to like teach at a college or something, I for sure would teach about memes. Hands down.
Dude.
I know what my curriculum would be. It'd be modern art and culture
Yeah.
and something humanities based, and I'd talk about
I'm
memes. And
absolutely certain somewhere there are professors putting together curriculums right now. I'm sure.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing. Here's the thing. I got in college. I got my one of my professors into memes. Like the entire class and us got my professor into memes, and she's won multiple Sundance awards and such.
Holy
she's,
fuck.
Wow.
She was actually doing a talk with us, and then had to like pause the talk because she had to take a call from Sundance. I got her into memes, and she wants to do a thesis on memes.
Oh my god. Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Because we got her into, because I know like I like talking with her about the linguistics of it, because memes are a language themselves, and the way they evolve is much like a language.
Yeah.
So like the linguistic implications of memes and like the anthropology behind it.
Yeah, because it's also about like who's using them, right? Because like there's a
Oh, yeah.
whole sect of like there's the whole drama behind Pepe's and how 4chan and like white
Yeah.
supremacists tried to take
Yeah.
them over and stuff.
And there's different cultures and different languages with different memes. Like we won't be able to fully understand Hong Kong memes, for example.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like their Pikachu meme is different than our Pikachu meme.
Yeah.
Or their I think their Pepes are different than our Pepes. Our Pepes, for example, during the same time, I think around when Pepes were assigned with anti-Semitism in our region, I believe their Pepes were based around anti-state stuff during their protests.
That's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah.
Like-
So there's region locked memes.
Region
Yeah,
like-
you gotta use ExpressVPN to get access
Like,
to all
one
the
of my
different regions of memes. It's not sponsoring the show, but thought it was a good
posted
joke.
a meme in the Discord chat, and like the amount of levels of this meme to like elements is not only incorporated because this is a historical based meme.
Yeah.
So you have to know like who Marshall Zukov is, but also like the format. You have to have seen the specific type of internet side
Ad.
spam banner ad that
Yeah.
it's parodying to like be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
it's-
all these elements.
Yeah, no, it's memes are a language into themselves and an art form, and there's just so much culture behind them that honestly you could teach a class on it and you wouldn't be able to like cover all of it because it's
They're
still
trying
growing.
to do classes on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I'm sure there's some
Yeah,
digital
And I
art
think it's worth
or culture or yeah.
I think
from
it's
from a non-meme perspective, like the amount of psyche that you could actually learn and like understand from like how memes are used, not just for like communication, but to cope
yeah.
or to go through whatever you need to go through in that moment. Because you can, I mean, it allows also people to express the unexpressible.
Yeah, express emotions, reactions to things. Like people, emojis in emoticons were sort of the previous version of this, and like I would say in the early 2000s. But now people like when someone posts something on Twitter, people will just post reaction memes. So I'm like, oh, here's my office memes, or here's my energy, or or like they see something they want to buy, and they you're posting Futurana, shut up and take take my money. Like
it's
a form of communication.
It's a language.
Yeah.
It's a language. It's an art. It's memes are beautiful. I love memes.
It's definitely something I
You
think.
can tell your mom, kids, it's shit posting, and it is in fact art.
It is. The posting is look. I've gone through 4 years of fucking art school to be able to say with confidence that memes are fucking art.
Yeah.
And that you're an award-winning animator.
Yep.
And that I'm an award-winning
Don't
animator.
forget the important part.
Yeah,
So
that's-
speaking of memes and art, I really want to talk about Mixer.
Okay. This is gonna be our last thing because we are already over an hour. But
No.
go
Yeah,
off.
we can
Look
stretch.
at Dante, if you want 5-star podcasts, you need
God.
5-star run times.
Which is usually an hour, I would imagine.
An hour.
Not
Yeah.
fucking.
3 hours minimum. 3 hours minimum.
Jesus Christ.
I just wanted to see some other people's opinions and kind of
The death of Mixer.
just talk about the death of Mixer a little bit.
Yeah, we've talked about this a couple weeks ago. I
I
think.
think Mixer, it was a cool technologically, it was cool. Like they definitely that they had with the backing of Microsoft, and like that's the thing. Mixer streams compared to their competitors, even Twitch. You know, the latency was so low, and part of that is because they had much smaller load than Twitch did on their infrastructure. But like, you know, and just all the other stuff, the integration they did with Microsoft's games, like the stuff they did in Forza, where you could stream on Mixer and that would affect stuff in the game. And there's some Twitch stuff that does that as well. But I think Microsoft was, because they were
pushing the envelope
behind that in a bigger way. It's, you know, it kind of sucks, I think, for a lot of people there who were smaller streamers, who weren't the people who were getting paid contracts to come over. Because, you know, Stroud got his contract paid out when Mixer closed down, so he'll be fine. Like, I'm sure he'll be back.
He's not the one getting hurt.
Right.
Yeah, it's small people who built a small community, and they liked the way Mixer felt, and they liked the specific vibe that, you know, whatever decisions, the way the community was set up in Mixer, the way the tools, the way the stream management was set up for streamers in Mixer, created all those influences, and now that's gone. And
I think
it kind of shocking, because Microsoft is a big company with a ton of money to afford. Like, Mixer doesn't necessarily have to make money for them, because they make money on so many other things. And if they're like, hey, I'm not interested, it's hard to see a major competitor really coming for
It
Twitch.
is strange. It's a good point you bring up. It's strange that they closed it seemingly so soon. I think what I've seen at a surface level is they just pulled a Google, where they created something that had, interesting properties and interesting technology that was making it possible, but then they just didn't market it well, and they didn't really advertise it, and they didn't...
I've heard from Microsoft employees that I know who they didn't work in the Mixer org inside Microsoft, but they said there was some weird management, like the way that org was managed was kind of maybe a mess, and maybe that perhaps plays a role in this of some internal organizational problems.
Yeah, that's the nuance that's always lost on people.
It's never made public, so you can't really get an eye into it unless they publicly release something.
That is something that whenever I think about games and game development, and specifically bugs in games, I hear from a lot of friends this game's so buggy, what the fuck, why is it so buggy, it's so shit. And it's it's buggy, that aspect is buggy, there's this one specific bug, but it's also maybe that one bug is holding back a flood of other bugs, it
is it's like coding. When you make a game that is as big as a AAA game, I'm trying to think of the most recent super buggy release game, and I'm thinking it was
Last of Us 2 had a couple of bugs and such.
Okay, making a game as big as that, when you're working in code, that's thousands upon thousands lines of code, all trying to communicate with each other. And when you're programming that, you're only looking at maybe a 5x5 pixel of 1,000 by 1,000 image. It's insane.
And it's never and along with that too, and that's just one maybe department. If we want to take it at that level, there are thousands of employees at a AAA studio, or maybe hundreds. I don't know the size. But there's hundreds of employees at a AAA studio, and dozens of departments, and you know what? Sometimes you won't get good managers, and sometimes you just have some poor management.
Your lines of communication is bad. So the art department does one thing, and it's oh shit, this doesn't work with what the level design department's doing. Fuck.
If we're gonna use the pixel analogy further, it's you've got a 5x5 square in 1,000 by 1,000 image. Now, if you really want your code to work well, you need to know what's going on in the 8 other 5x5 squares that are around you. If you have good communication,
and oh shit, our puzzle piece is not formed to fit puzzle. We gotta fucking start shaving shit off of it.
A lot of times they can't afford to go back and do a complete fix either, so a lot of times that's when you see shit get cracked.
Yeah, you guys get deadlines, and it's if you have a bug that is kind of crappy or jarring or whatever, but it's this bug is so rare. You need to ship this game next month.
Yep.
Yeah.
1 out of 1,000 people who play this game will get this bug. then it's just like, yep, we know
You have
about
to
this
take
bug.
it- yeah,
It's
because the
known
point you're taking
shippable.
risks.
That is the term. It is the industry term.
Yeah.
Is a known shippable bug, and it's just like,
That's always it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's would you rather ship out the game with a minor bug, or would you rather
Yeah.
risk spending the month trying to fix it, possibly breaking more things?
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. Also that,
The-
yeah, changing things breaks
the-
other things, and then there's the publisher deadline of like, hey, we need to get this game out because we have investor call and we want to make sure our numbers are up for this quarter. And
Our
so you need to
fiscal,
get
the
this done.
by the fiscal quarter. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah. Fiscal quarter. Look,
It comes back around.
everything
always
is done
comes
by the
back
fiscal
around.
quarter, baby.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, one game that I like to point out with very very buggy and very crappy.
Yeah.
Is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh God, yeah.
people going
famously.
like, how did they fuck this up? How did they fuck this up? Well, let's see. They took the multiplayer team,
Yep.
made them the A team.
Yep.
They mismanaged the shit out of it, and along with that, they
They
just
They believed
They
in.
have to work on a game engine originally made for first-person vehicle-based multiplayer first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Look,
And
And
said,
look-
hey, make a role-playing game
Yeah,
that's
and look,
third person.
they got the action parts. They got the shooting.
Yeah, the
right,
combat
because
in
it's-
Andromeda
the
is
combat
probably
great.
the best part of that game.
The
And,
driving.
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
that the driving is like fantastic, and you know why? Because it's a vehicle-based engine, and also because they got the team from Forza to work on it.
Yeah.
So like, they got people who are experienced in that bit.
Yeah.
Um,
They believed in the BioWare magic too hard, and it did not pay dividends.
see, that's the part that's like bewilders me about that production.
Uh-huh.
Is that like they did believe in the BioWare magic, but they didn't put forward their best foot. They used the team that was behind Mass Effect's multiplayer.
Well, because they wanted
as the A-team.
they wanted a Destiny killer, so they put the
Yeah,
A team
so
on
then Anthem.
on fucking Anthem, which is a game
Yeah,
that
but-
they had no. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the personal
And
story
also,
behind
like-
it. It seemed like some of the devs really wanted to
We
do
could
something
point out
that
that,
wasn't just an RPG, but
the company that makes some of your favorite games, people are like, "Why? Well, they made all these good games, and then they made these bad." Like, people move on, like leadership changes,
yeah.
and that changes the culture of a studio and what they prioritize. And so, like, maybe by the time Mass Effect Andromeda was coming out, it's like I'm pretty sure both the founders of BioWare, the two doctors, had at that point largely split from the company.
Did,
Yeah.
And so like, and then a lot of people up down, the people who made the first 2-3 Mass Effect games, not really in charge. Like, so it's like the culture that
Yeah.
produced the games that players like so much may not be there down the road. So it's like,
It's how you lose track of the overall artistic vision.
right.
Yeah.
I can't speak for like the programming side, but I know for a fact like animation side, what's it called? Animators have a lifespan in the industry for at least 3 years or so, like 3 years, and then you essentially become a senior animator at that point.
Mhm.
We have a really high burnout rate, and
Mhm.
we have a really high shuffling
a lot
rate.
of jobs
I believe.
in the game
Yeah.
industry, honestly,
Oh,
are
yeah.
high
Yeah.
burnout rates. Yeah.
Yeah, we get shuffled around a lot. I mean, it's because the games industry isn't unionized, so like.
Wow! What? Crazy!
we-
Kind of
we could talk-
wild.
I could talk to death about that.
Oh
but-
yeah, we all could. I'm
You should
sure.
get Connor on here,
We
Nick.
can save
Oh,
that for
about-
next episode.
He has an interesting
Yeah.
perspective on game units, but
Yeah.
not a bad one, but an interesting.
Nick, I want to thank you for having me on. I have to skedaddle.
Yeah, no, this is a good time to close it. I mean, to bring it back around to Mixer real quick, I guess it's the same thing. You know, we're just
Yeah.
talking about a parallel situation, but probably bad
It's
management.
so unfortunate to see a program like that go down. I think it had a lot of potential. I think they just mismanaged their funds and
Yeah,
expectations.
and it was
they
pushing.
ruined a lot of lives.
It had the potential to push, push innovation, whereas Twitch
I think
by
so, too,
itself can just kind of sit on its laurels until another
Yeah.
behemoth
Yeah.
streaming
Well, 'cause that
service
brings up
comes
the whole
out.
conversation
So.
of like, are these high-profile streamers looking to make a new streaming platform? Because
Mm.
that
possible.
could be a thing.
I don't
People
think
have
there's.
been
Any,
talking about
I
it.
don't think that's a good idea. I think you can go
I
all
think
the
it's
time
so
and say because they don't have the technical back. Like that's the thing. Microsoft is one of the largest tech companies in the world with some of the best architecture with the Azure server, hosting stuff,
Yep.
and like all that. And
Yeah.
they said, "Oh, we're gonna punt on this." Like, we
Yeah,
couldn't-
some fucking streamers that
work.
just play
So
Fortnite
like
for
you're
a
telling
living.
me,
System too.
yeah.
It
So
was a
like you're
real
telling
program.
me a bunch of streamers who
Just play video
are good
games
at
for a living.
streaming,
They're
obviously,
good.
know
Yeah,
that
they're
they
good
want a streaming platform,
entertainers.
but don't necessarily know how to
They don't
build
know
that
the other- yeah.
on the technical side. Like, who's gonna fund that?
Exactly. I don't listen to those rumors, but I think they're interesting because I would like to see
Yeah.
what could come of it, but I know it wouldn't be good.
It would be
Yeah.
interesting to see from their perspective what ideas and what they would prioritize in a streaming
Yes,
service.
absolutely.
But like, I don't think it would work because I just don't think they would have the technical infrastructure to pull it off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. I think this was a lovely stream. We talked about a lot of
Yes.
interesting topics. So
Good talking.
thanks for
with
coming on. Tune in on Monday, I guess, for MCC Monday. Hopefully we'll get that
Hell yeah.
lasso done. Tyler streams. I host him whenever he's streaming his stuff. So I guess you're going to be
I'm
doing
streaming
more.
tonight.
Yep. We got more.
Reading-
Was it? No, it's.
Yeah,
Is
reading
it
The Shining? If you guys want to join.
Shining? Right. Yeah. That's a long book, isn't it? It's like.
It's I think 50 something chapters.
Okay. Yeah. Stephen King.
I'm already on chapter 12 though, so we're making it.
Stephen King really just took that cocaine and popped off.
He just loves writing long books. And you know what? I'd rather have a long book to get through the summer, and that way I can like. I have a couple ideas of like some shorter books I have planned too, and like possibly also doing days
please don't
of,
crash.
one-offs of reading
Okay, good.
popular poetry or popular short novels or whatever.
Read some fan fiction.
I'm gonna do a
Yes.
day of reading fan fiction.
Oh,
actually.
boy.
Hell
Honestly,
yeah.
Ooh.
But yeah,
I already
so
tried by reading 50 Shades, but that's too close to Twilight. I had to stop.
yeah, Tyler's doing that tonight. Pat streams art sometimes. I'm also hosting Pat, so when he streams, you
I
should
don't
be
know.
able to see him online.
You can
and-
read my takes about Army small arms acquisition programs over at twitter.com/tag.
Hell yeah! There we go. There's the
That's
link
what I
drops
can
that we're
plug.
looking for.
There's the Twitter plug.
Yeah. But yeah,
okay.
we'll be chilling in the Discord otherwise, so come see us there if nowhere else.
Come hang out on the
I'm
Discord.
actually, fun fact actually, I'm actually planning on setting up a long form project on YouTube.
Hell yeah!
Nice.
What's the
Still-
link,
still in
brother?
the- Still in the pre-production for that though. So.
Okay.
Good.
But yeah, so just I guess post it on the Discord and then people will hear about it.
Yeah, drop it.
For sure.
Yeah. So thanks for watching and stay safe out there. Adios.
Adios.
All right, see you, friends.
Peace.